Billionaire. I'll drop $100 from a helicopter if you marry me. What he says next shocks. 24 floors up, Celeste Davenport stood on her private balcony, watching the sunset turn the water into liquid gold. She didn't see beauty anymore. Just another day ending exactly like the one before. Her phone buzzed. Third time in 5 minutes. Ms. Davenport, the investors are waiting in the conference room. She let it ring out. Let them wait. They always did. Behind her, the penthouse stretched into shadows. 12,000 square feet of marble, glass, and carefully curated emptiness. The decorator had called it modern minimalist luxury. Celeste called it what it was. A cage made of money, her reflection caught in the floor-to-ceiling windows. 24 years old, CEO of a hotel empire worth $3 billion. Divorced at 23, alone at 24. The math was simple. The reality was brutal. Her assistant's voice came through the intercom. Ms. Davenport? Tell them 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Also, the new veteran hiring program starts tomorrow. The coordinators are already here. Celeste froze. The veteran program. She'd forgotten about that. 6 months ago, her PR team had convinced her it was good optics, hiring former military personnel for hotel operations. Shows corporate responsibility, they'd said. Connects with middle America. Gives you a human angle. She hadn't cared about optics. She'd just signed whatever they put in front of her. Now she wished she'd read it closer. Fine. Send them to my office at 7. She smoothed her royal blue blazer, the one that cost more than her assistant's monthly salary. Checked her reflection one more time. CEO face. Not a crack showing. The private elevator descended. 45 seconds to transform from Celeste, the woman who cried in the shower at 3 a.m., into Ms. Davenport, the woman who owned this building and everyone in it. The elevator doors opened. Showtime. The conference room fell silent when she entered. 12 men in expensive suits, all at least 20 years older than her, all looking at her the same way, like she was a child playing dress-up in her dead father's office. She'd inherited Melbrook Hotels when she was 22, the day after her father's funeral. Some of these men had worked with him for decades. They smiled at her in meetings and questioned every decision she made behind closed doors. She'd heard them. She's too young and she'll run it into the ground and give it 6 months. That was 2 years ago. They were still here, still smiling, still waiting for her to fail. Gentlemen, she took her seat at the head of the table. Let's begin. 3 hours later, she'd approved 2 new properties in Miami and Austin, rejected a merger attempt from a competitor who thought youth meant weakness, and fired the VP of operations for skimming from the housekeeping budget. Just another Tuesday. Her assistant, Maria, caught her in the hallway. Ms. Davenport, the veteran coordinators are in your office. Right, the program. She pushed open her office door and stopped. 3 people stood by the window overlooking the ocean, but she only saw one. Ryan Walker. 8 years vanished in a heartbeat. She was 16 again, sitting on the hood of his beat-up truck at the beach, his jacket around her shoulders, believing in forever the way only 16-year-olds can. Then she was 17, reading his goodbye note on notebook paper, learning that forever was a lie people told when they didn't know how to say, not really. Now she was 24, staring at the man who taught her that love was just another thing that didn't last. Ms. Davenport, one of the coordinators stepped forward, hand extended. Thank you for meeting with us. I'm Jennifer Torres, Program Director. This is Marcus Chen, Operations Coordinator, and Captain Ryan Walker, our military liaison. Captain? Of course he was a captain. Ryan had always been the type to excel at whatever he did. Quarterback, class president, first one to enlist. Captain Walker. Her voice came out colder than she'd intended. Professional. Distant. Welcome to Mel Brock. His eyes met hers. Storm gray. She'd forgotten how gray they were. Forgotten and remembered all at once. Ms. Davenport. His voice was exactly the same. Deep. Steady. The kind of voice that made you believe everything would be okay, right before it wasn't. The captain will be overseeing the integration of our veterans into your staff, Jennifer continued, oblivious to the tension crackling in the room like static electricity before a storm. He'll be on site for the next 6 months, working directly with your management team to ensure a smooth transition. 6 months. Celeste's chest tightened. 6 months of seeing him in her hotel. 6 months of pretending the past didn't exist. 6 months of maintaining the walls she'd spent 8 years building. That's fine. She moved behind her desk. putting furniture between them like it could protect her from whatever this was. My assistant will coordinate schedules. Actually, Marcus said, pulling out a tablet, we were hoping you could give Captain Walker a personal tour of the facilities, help him understand the operation from the top down, get a sense of your vision for the program. I have meetings. Tomorrow morning would work perfectly, Jennifer interrupted, her smile professional and unyielding. Say, 8 o'clock? Celeste looked at Ryan. He stood perfectly still, military posture, hands clasped behind his back. His face gave away nothing, no recognition, no emotion, just professional courtesy, like they were strangers. Maybe they were. 8 o'clock, she heard herself say. Captain Walker, meet me in the lobby. Yes, ma'am. Don't call me ma'am, I'm not 50. Something flickered in his eyes. Almost a smile. Yes, Ms. Davenport. They filed out. Ryan went last, pausing at the door. Celeste, it's Ms. Davenport here, Captain. His jaw tightened. Right, Ms. Davenport. See you tomorrow. The door closed behind him. Celeste sat down slowly, her legs suddenly unsteady. She'd spent 8 years building walls around the part of her that remembered Ryan Walker. 8 years convincing herself she didn't care that he'd left without explanation, without warning, without giving her a choice. 8 years pretending she was fine. Now he was back and she had 6 months to keep lying. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I didn't know you owned this hotel. If you want someone else for the program, I'll step down. No questions asked. Ryan. She stared at the message. Professional, courteous, giving her an out. The old Celeste would have taken it. Would have made one phone call and erased him from her life again. Neat and clean and painless. But something had shifted when she'd seen him standing in her office. Some buried part of her that still remembered what it felt like to believe in something beyond quarterly earnings and market share. She typed back, be here at 8. Don't be late, Captain. His response came immediately. Yes, ma'am. She threw the phone on her desk and pressed her palms against her eyes. This was going to be a disaster. The next morning, Celeste arrived at the lobby at 7:45. She told herself it was because she was always early, had been since childhood. Not because she needed 15 minutes to prepare herself to see him again. She wore her armor, royal blue blazer that made her look older, white silk blouse, jeans that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and heels that made her 5'10" instead of 5'7". Her hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Professional, untouchable, perfect. Ryan showed up at 7:58. He wore khakis and a simple blue button-down, no tie. His hair was shorter than she remembered. Military precision. He'd filled out too, shoulders broader, presence stronger. He looked like a man who'd seen things and survived them. He looked good. Damn him. Morning. He stopped 3 feet away. Respectful distance. Morning, Captain. Ready for the tour? Yes, ma'am. I said, stop calling me ma'am. It makes me feel ancient. Something flickered in his eyes. Almost a smile. What should I call you? Ms. Davenport is fine. All right, Ms. Davenport. They started in the kitchen. 5 a.m. was when the magic happened, when ordinary ingredients became the food that rich people photographed for Instagram before eating half and leaving the rest. Chef Pierre ran the operation like a military campaign, which seemed fitting. 40 staff members moving in synchronized chaos, every motion deliberate, every second counted. This is where your veterans will work? Ryan asked, watching the controlled chaos. Some of them. Kitchen, housekeeping, maintenance, front desk. Wherever they fit best. And you think they'll fit? She looked at him sharply. You have a problem with the program, Captain? No, ma'am. I'm asking if you actually care about these people or if this is just good PR. Direct. Challenging. The Ryan she remembered never pulled punches. I signed the checks, didn't I? That's not what I asked. They stood in the kitchen doorway, staff flowing around them like water around stones. Celeste felt something old and familiar rise in her chest, the urge to defend herself, to prove she wasn't just some rich girl playing CEO. I care about giving people opportunities, she said carefully. What they do with those opportunities is up to them. Ryan studied her face. Fair enough. They moved through the hotel. Olympic-sized pools with underwater speakers, spa with treatments that cost $500 per hour, conference rooms that could hold 1,000 people, guest suites larger than most apartments. Ryan asked questions about operations, staffing, logistics, professional questions, nothing personal. But every time he stood too close, every time their hands almost touched reaching for the same door, Celeste felt 16 again. It was infuriating. They ended the tour on the roof, 24 floors up. where the helipad sat like a metal landing pad to heaven or hell, depending on the day. Celeste's helicopter crouched on one side, sleek and black and expensive. "You fly?" Ryan asked. "I have a pilot. But yes, I learned. Why? Because I could. Because my father said women couldn't handle it. Because proving people wrong is the only hobby I have left." He walked to the edge of the building, looking out at the ocean. The wind whipped his shirt, and for a moment Celeste saw the boy she'd loved. Young, fearless, ready to take on the world. "Nice view," he said. "It's just a view. You sound tired of it." "I'm tired of a lot of things, Captain." "Like what?" The question caught her off guard. When was the last time someone had asked her something real? Not about business, not about money, but about her? "I don't know you anymore, Captain Walker. We're not going to stand on my roof and talk about my feelings. We used to. We were kids. We were real." The words hit her like a slap. Real. When everything in her life was performance and profit margins and people who smiled while they waited for her to fail. "That was a long time ago," she said quietly. 8 years. "You counted." "Of course I counted." Silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither of them knew how to say. The ocean roared below. The city hummed around them. Somewhere in the hotel, people were checking in, checking out, living their lives without knowing the woman who owned the building was standing on the roof with her heart in her throat. "Why did you leave?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Ryan's face shuddered. "We should get back." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got right now." He walked toward the elevator, leaving her standing by the helipad. Celeste watched him go, fury and confusion warring in her chest. Fine. If he wanted to play the professional stranger, she could do that. She'd been playing pretend her whole life. That night, alone in her penthouse, Celeste stood on the balcony and let herself remember. She was 16. Ryan's truck parked on the beach, the two of them lying in the bed watching stars, his hand warm in hers. "Where do you see yourself in 10 years? She'd asked. "With you," he'd said without hesitation, like it was the simplest truth in the world. "What if you change your mind?" "I won't." "How do you know?" "Because some things you just know, Celeste. Like how the sun rises, like how the ocean keeps moving, like how I'm going to love you forever. Forever. Liar." She went inside, poured herself a glass of wine she didn't drink, and tried to remember how to breathe around the weight in her chest. The veteran program officially launched on Monday. 15 former military personnel, ranging from privates to sergeants, all looking for a fresh start after years of service. Ryan introduced them individually, and Celeste shook each hand, memorized each face, each story. Marcus Davis, 32, who'd lost his leg in Afghanistan but could still outwork anyone in the kitchen. Sarah Chen, 28, 3 tours in Iraq, nightmares every night, but the best damn housekeeper Celeste had ever seen. David Rodriguez, 25, looked 25 but had the eyes of someone much older, much more tired. She was good at this part, the performance, the caring CEO who looked people in the eye and made them feel valued. But she watched Ryan as he moved through the group, encouraging, correcting, praising. He was a natural leader. She could see why he'd made captain. The first week was integration. Ryan shadowed different departments, learning the operation inside and out. Celeste watched from her office, pretending she wasn't tracking his movements through the building like some kind of stalker. On Thursday, he showed up at her office door, no appointment, no warning. "Got a minute?" She looked up from her laptop, where she'd been staring at the same spreadsheet for 20 minutes without actually seeing it. "For my military liaison?" "Of course." He stepped inside, closing the door. 3 of your managers are undermining the program." "Which 3? "Carter in housekeeping, Morrison in maintenance, Reed in the restaurant." "And you know this how?" "I listen. Your veterans are getting the worst shifts, the hardest jobs, and 0 respect. Carter called Marcus gimpy yesterday. Morrison told Sarah she should smile more and stop being so uptight. Reed is making David work doubles while everyone else gets standard shifts." Celeste leaned back in her chair. "The program's been running for 4 days, Captain. Maybe you're being overly sensitive." His eyes flashed. "I'm being accurate. These men have worked here for years. They know how to run their departments. They know how to bully people they think are beneath them. And you want me to what? Fire them on your say-so? I want you to do what you said you'd do when you signed off on this program. Give these people a real chance, not a fake opportunity where they get hazed out in 3 months." She stood up, came around the desk. "You don't get to walk back into my life after 8 years and tell me how to run my company. This isn't about us, isn't it?" They were close now. Too close. She could see the pulse in his throat, remember what it felt like to press her lips there on summer nights that smelled like salt and freedom. "No," he said quietly. "It's about 15 people who serve their country and deserve better than what they're getting here." Shame crept up her spine, hot and uncomfortable. He was right. She knew he was right. "I'll talk to them," she said. "When?" "Tomorrow. Today. Captain. Today, Ms. Davenport. Or I'm pulling my people out of here and telling every news outlet that Mel Brock Hotel's veteran program is a PR stunt that doesn't actually give a damn about veterans." She wanted to fire him, wanted to throw him out of her office and her life and go back to the comfortable numbness she'd perfected over the last 8 years. Instead, she picked up her phone and called her assistant. "Maria, get Carter, Morrison, and Reed up here now." Ryan nodded once. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet." The 3 managers arrived within 10 minutes, all smiling, all confident they were about to get praised for something. Their faces changed when they saw Ryan standing in the corner like a silent judge. "Gentlemen," Celeste said, not inviting them to sit, "Captain Walker has brought some concerns to my attention. I'd like to hear your side." Carter spoke first, confident. "Ms. Davenport, I don't know what the captain told you, but I've been running housekeeping for 12 years. I know how to manage staff. Do you call your staff gimpy?" His face went pale. "That was a joke." Marcus laughed. "Did he?" Celeste looked at Ryan. "No, ma'am, he went to the bathroom and cried." Celeste felt something cold settle in her stomach. "Continue." Morrison tried to defend himself. Sarah was too sensitive. David needed to prove himself. Reed didn't even try, just stood there with his arms crossed like this was beneath him. An hour later, Carter was fired. Morrison was demoted to entry level with a pay cut. Reed was on 6-month probation with 1 more strike, meaning termination. When they left, Carter pale and shaking, Morrison angry, Reed smug like he'd gotten away with something, Ryan stayed behind. "That was brutal," he said. "That was business. You didn't have to fire Carter." "Yes, I did. He was stealing from the employee health care fund, and I've been ignoring it for 6 months because he was my father's friend. But my father is dead, and I'm tired of letting his friends get away with shit." Ryan studied her. "You knew he was stealing?" "I know everything that happens in this building, Captain. I just don't always care enough to do something about it. But you cared today. I cared about keeping my word. I signed off on this program. That means something, even if you don't believe it." He walked to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the ocean. "You've changed. I grew up. That's not what I mean." "Then what do you mean?" He turned to face her. "You used to care about everything. You cried when we found that injured bird on the beach. You gave your allowance to homeless people. You volunteered at the animal shelter every weekend. You believed in good. And look where that got me." "Where?" She gestured around the office, the mahogany desk, the leather chair, the view of the ocean. "Here, alone, successful, rich, empty, everything I was supposed to want." "Is it what you want?" The question hung in the air between them, dangerous and loaded. Celeste felt something crack in her chest, some carefully maintained wall beginning to crumble. "I want you to leave," she said. "Celeste." "Now, Captain, please." He left without another word. She stood at the window watching the sun set over the ocean and wondered when exactly she'd become someone she didn't recognize. The second week, things shifted. The veterans were settling in, finding their rhythm. Marcus was running the kitchen like he'd been born to it. Sarah's rooms were cleaner than they'd ever been. David was pulling doubles without complaint because he actually wanted to be there. Ryan was at the hotel less, coordinating from the VA office downtown. Celeste told herself she was relieved not to see him every day. She was lying. On Friday night, she found herself in the hotel kitchen at 2 a.m, unable to sleep, stress baking like she used to in college before everything fell apart. Chef Pierre's domain was quiet and dark, just the hum of industrial refrigerators keeping her company. She pulled out flour, sugar, yeast, started kneading dough with more force than necessary. She was wrist-deep in bread dough when the kitchen door opened. Ryan stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, his hair slightly messed like he'd been running his hands through it. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. She didn't jump, didn't turn around. "Security let you in?" "I still have my access card." "Why are you here at 2 a.m? "Saw your office light on, then saw you come down here. Wanted to make sure you were okay." "I'm fine." "You're baking at 2 a.m, that's not fine." She finally looked at him. He wore civilian clothes, not the button-downs and khakis he wore during the day. He looked human, real, tired. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. He pulled out a stool at the prep counter, sat down. "Not really." "Why?" "Lot on my mind." "Want to talk about it?" Do you? She considered lying, considered maintaining the walls. Instead, she said, I haven't slept properly in 3 years. Since your divorce? Since I realized I married someone I didn't love because I was trying to forget someone I did. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Ryan's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes softened. Celeste, don't. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not. Tired of acting like I'm okay. Tired of being alone in a building full of people. She went back to kneading dough, taking out 8 years of frustration on innocent bread. Ryan watched her in silence for a long moment. Finally, he said, I left because I was scared. Her hands stilled. I was 18. He continued, his voice quiet. You were 17. We had plans. College together, marriage, the whole future mapped out. And then my mom got sick. Really sick. Stage 4 cancer. The medical bills started coming and they didn't stop. 50,000. 100,000. More. He stopped, swallowed hard. I couldn't ask you to wait for me while I figured out how to save my family from bankruptcy. Your family had money. My family had nothing. I was going to work minimum wage jobs while you went to Stanford. It wasn't fair to you. So you just left? So I enlisted. The signing bonus covered her first round of treatment. The salary helped my dad keep the house, pay the bills. But it meant 8 years minimum in the Navy, and I couldn't ask you to put your life on hold for me. You didn't even ask. I know. You made the decision for both of us. I know. I would have waited, Ryan. I would have worked. I would have helped. I know that too. That's why I couldn't let you. You had a full scholarship to Stanford. You were going to be a writer. You had dreams. My dream was you. And I couldn't let you throw that away for me. She turned slowly to face him. So instead you threw us away. I thought I was doing the right thing. You were wrong. I know that now. They looked at each other across the prep counter. 8 years of hurt between them. Your mom? Celeste asked quietly. Survived. 5 years cancer-free. She runs a bakery in Oregon now. Makes the best sourdough on the West Coast. Your dad? Retired last year. Spends his days fishing and complaining about politics. He's happy. And you? Made captain. Did my time. Got out 6 months ago with an honorable discharge and a lot of questions about what comes next. Why'd you take this job? Why here? He met her eyes. Because I heard your name attached to the program, and I wanted to see if I'd made the right choice 8 years ago. Wanted to know if you were happy, if you'd moved on, if leaving you was worth it. And I was wrong. So completely, utterly wrong. You're successful, but you're not happy. You've moved on, but you haven't healed, and I did that to you. Don't flatter yourself, Captain. I've had 8 years and a failed marriage to mess myself up. You're just part of the story. But her voice cracked on the last word, and they both knew she was lying. What do you want from me, Ryan? I don't know. Maybe just a chance to not be strangers. She laughed, bitter and sharp. We're running a veteran program together. We see each other almost every day. We're not strangers. Yes, we are. And you know it. We talk about operations and logistics and never say anything real. We're polite professionals who used to know everything about each other. He was right. They'd become polite professionals, dancing around the history between them like it was a landmine they couldn't acknowledge. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. I don't know how to be around you and not... She stopped. Not what? Not remember everything we were supposed to be. Not feel angry at you for leaving. Not feel angry at myself for still caring after all this time. Ryan stood, came around the counter, not touching her, just close enough that she could feel the heat of him, smell the faint scent of soap and something that was just him. Maybe we don't try to forget, he said quietly. Maybe we just start over. No expectations, no pressure. Just see what happens. I don't believe in starting over. Since when? Since I learned that some things can't be fixed. Some things stay broken no matter how much you want them to heal. What if they can be fixed? What if we can? She looked up at him. This close, she could see the tiny scar above his eyebrow from when he'd fallen off his bike at 15. Could see the flecks of blue in his gray eyes. Could remember exactly what it felt like to be loved by him. What do you want, Ryan? Really? Honestly? He hesitated like he was afraid to say it out loud. I want to know if there's still an us under all this history and hurt. If there's anything left worth saving. And if there's not, then at least we'll know. At least we tried. Celeste turned back to her dough, needing something to do with her hands. I can't do this halfway, Ryan. I can't be your friend and pretend I don't... She stopped again. Don't what? Don't still feel everything. The anger, the hurt, the part of me that still loves who you used to be. She felt him move closer, felt his hand hover near her shoulder, not quite touching like he was afraid she'd break. Then don't pretend, he said. Be angry. Be hurt. Feel everything. I can take it. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I'm not 17 anymore, Ryan. I don't believe in forever. I don't believe in happy endings. I barely believe in tomorrow. I've learned that people leave. They lie. They take what they want and disappear. What happened to you? The question broke something in her. She turned, and before she could stop herself, the words came pouring out like blood from a wound. I got married at 22 to a man named Marcus, who seemed perfect, charming, successful. My father approved, which should have been my first red flag. I got divorced at 23 when I caught him in my office at 3 a.m, trying to transfer $5 million from my personal account to his. He wasn't married to me. He was married to my bank account. Ryan's face went dark. Jesus, Celeste. I run a company where half my employees think I'm too young, and the other half think I'm too female to be in charge. I've had 3 board members try to force me out. I've had investors proposition me in meetings. I live in a 12,000 square foot penthouse by myself because I can't stand the thought of someone close enough to hurt me again. And the only time I feel anything real is at 2 a.m. baking bread I'll never eat. Because at least bread doesn't lie to you. You mix the ingredients, you knead the dough, it rises or it doesn't. Simple. Honest. She stopped, breathing hard, horrified at what she'd just admitted. Ryan didn't speak. He just stepped forward and pulled her into his arms. She should have pushed him away, should have maintained the walls, should have been strong. Instead, she pressed her face into his chest and let herself feel, just for a moment, what it was like to not be alone, to be held by someone who'd once known every part of her. I'm sorry, he said against her hair. I'm so sorry for all of it, for leaving, for not being there, for every asshole who hurt you when I should have been there to stop it. It's not your fault. Some of it is. I left you when you needed someone to stay. I took away your choice because I was scared and stupid and 18. We were both stupid and 18, but I'm the one who ran. They stood there in the silent kitchen holding each other like drowning people clutching life preservers. Celeste couldn't remember the last time someone had just held her, not wanting sex, not wanting something, just offering comfort. Finally, she pulled back, wiping her eyes. This doesn't change anything. I know. We still have 4.5 months of working together. I know. And then you'll leave again? He flinched like she'd slapped him. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Ryan. Life isn't fair. Love isn't fair. Nothing is fair. She pulled away completely, armor going back on piece by piece. CEO face. Professional distance. I need to finish this bread, she said. Okay. You should go. Probably. But he didn't move. Neither did she. Tomorrow, Ryan said, I'm taking 3 of the veterans to the VA for follow-up appointments. Marcus, Sarah, and David. Come with us. Why? Because you said you care about giving people opportunities. Let me show you what that actually means. Let me show you the people behind the program. Not the PR, not the optics, the actual people. She wanted to say no, wanted to keep the distance between them, but something in his voice made her pause. Fine. What time? 10 o'clock. Meet me in the lobby. I'll be there. He left then, and Celeste went back to her bread, but her hands were shaking. The next morning, she showed up at the lobby at 9:55 in jeans and a simple white t-shirt. No blazer, no heels, no armor. Ryan noticed immediately. Morning. They drove to the VA in her SUV, a black Range Rover that cost more than most people made in 2 years. 3 veterans in the back. Marcus sat behind Ryan, his prosthetic leg visible. He'd stopped trying to hide it. Sarah sat in the middle, quieter than usual. She had nightmares, Ryan had mentioned. Some nights she didn't sleep at all. David sat by the window, looking out at the passing city with those old eyes. Celeste listened as they talked. Really listened. Marcus talked about bureaucracy, about waiting 6 months for his prosthetic, about physical therapy that made him want to scream, about learning to walk again at 32. Sarah talked about red tape, about PTSD evaluations that asked if she felt sad, on a scale of 1 to 10. Like trauma was something you could quantify, about sleeping with the lights on because darkness meant danger. David talked about how hard it was to transition back, how civilian life felt fake after Afghanistan, how he didn't know how to be around people who'd never seen combat, never watched friends die, Never learned that life could end in a heartbeat. By the time they reached the VA, Celeste had a lump in her throat the size of a fist. She sat in the waiting room while they went for their appointments, Ryan beside her. The room was full of veterans. Young, old, missing limbs, missing pieces of themselves that couldn't be replaced. "Thank you for coming," Ryan said quietly. "I should have done this weeks ago." "You're doing it now. That matters." She looked at him. "You really believe that, don't you? That it's never too late to do the right thing?" "Yeah, I do. Must be nice to have faith like that. It's harder than being cynical, but it's worth it." When the veterans came out, they looked lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. On the drive back, Sarah asked, "Ms. Davenport, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why'd you really start this program?" Celeste glanced at Ryan, then back at the road. "Honestly, it started as PR. My team said it would be good optics, but now," she paused, "now I think it's because everyone deserves a second chance, including me." The car was quiet for a moment. Then Marcus said, "Thank you for that, for being honest. Most people in your position would give us the corporate line about giving back or supporting our troops, but honesty, that means something." "Thank you for your service," Celeste replied. "And I mean that. Really mean it. Not the polite thing you say. The actual gratitude for what you did and what you sacrificed." That night, standing on her balcony, Celeste realized something had shifted. The emptiness that usually filled her chest felt smaller, not gone, just less crushing. Her phone buzzed. "Ryan, thank you for today. It meant a lot to them. And to me." She typed back, "Thank you for asking me to come." Ooh. His response came immediately. "Want to get coffee tomorrow?" "Just coffee. As friends." She stared at the message for a long time before typing, "Friends. Okay." She was lying to herself. They both knew it, but maybe that was okay too. Coffee turned into breakfast at a diner where the waitress called everyone honey, and the pancakes came with a side of sass. Breakfast turned into walks on the beach where they used to park his truck and talk until 3 in the morning. Walks turned into late-night conversations in the hotel kitchen, both of them pretending they just happened to be there at 2 a.m., both of them knowing it was a lie. 3 weeks passed. The veterans were thriving. The program was succeeding beyond anyone's expectations. And Celeste was falling in love all over again with the man who'd broken her heart. She tried to stop it, tried to maintain distance, tried to remember all the reasons why this was a terrible idea. But Ryan made her laugh, made her think, made her remember what it felt like to be fully alive instead of just going through the motions. On a Wednesday afternoon, she found him on the roof looking at her helicopter with the expression of someone planning something stupid. "Planning to steal it?" she asked. He turned, smiled. "Maybe. How hard can it be to fly? Harder than it looks. Easier than staying on the ground." She came to stand beside him. 4 months had passed since the program started. 2 months left on Ryan's contract. The thought made her chest tight. "I've been thinking," Ryan said, about what happens when the program ends. When my contract is up, you go back to your life. I go back to mine. We pretend this never happened. Is that what you want?" She looked out at the ocean, at the endless blue that stretched to the horizon. "I don't know what I want anymore." "Liar." She turned to him. "Fine. I want you to stay. I want to rewind 8 years and make different choices. I want everything to be different than it is. But I also know that wanting doesn't change reality. Wanting doesn't fix what's broken. What if it could? What does that mean?" He reached into his pocket, pulled out a piece of paper, unfolded it carefully, handed it to her. It was a job offer. Senior position with a security consulting firm. Based in LA, 6-figure salary. Starting next month. "I already accepted," he said. "I'm staying." Celeste's heart stopped. "Why?" "Because I spent 8 years regretting letting you go. 8 years wondering what if. 8 years making the same mistakes over and over because I couldn't move forward and I couldn't go back. I'm not making that mistake twice." "Ryan, I'm not asking for anything, Celeste. I'm not asking you to trust me or love me or give me another chance. I'm just telling you I'm staying in LA. What happens next is entirely up to you." She looked at the paper, then at him, then at the helicopter crouched behind them like some mechanical bird of prey waiting to take flight. An idea sparked in her mind. Insane, dramatic, completely absurd. But when had she ever played it safe? "Are you free tomorrow morning?" she asked. "Why?" "I want to show you something." "Celeste, do you trust me?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Yeah, I do." "Then be here at dawn." The next morning she picked him up at 6 a.m. They drove to the hotel in silence, the tension between them thick enough to cut with a knife. On the roof, her pilot was waiting by the helicopter, looking confused and concerned in equal measure. "Ms. Davenport," he greeted. "Everything's ready as you requested." "Thank you, Marcus, you can go." He hesitated, looking between her and Ryan. "You want to fly solo?" "No. Captain Walker will be my passenger." The pilot looked even more concerned. "Ms. Davenport, with all due respect, I know what I'm doing, Marcus. You can go. Take the day off. Paid." Still uncertain, he nodded and left. Ryan stared at the helicopter. "What's going on?" "Get in. Celeste, trust me. You said you did." They climbed aboard. Celeste took the pilot seat, hands steady on the controls despite her racing heart. This was insane. This was the most insane thing she'd ever done. But insane felt right. They lifted off, the city falling away below them. She flew west toward the ocean, the morning sun painting everything gold and orange and impossible. She flew for 20 minutes, finally hovering over a stretch of empty beach. The same beach where they used to park his truck, where they'd made promises they'd been too young to keep. "Recognize this place?" she shouted over the noise. "Yeah," he shouted back. "This is where you told me you'd love me forever, where we planned our entire future on the hood of your truck." She reached behind the seat, pulled out a duffel bag she'd prepared the night before. Heavy, bulky, full of her entire liquid savings converted into $100 bills. $100 million in cash. Ryan's eyes widened. "What the hell?" "Marry me," she said. "What?" "Marry me, Ryan Walker. Right now. Today. And this money is yours. All of it. I'll throw it from this helicopter if you say yes. I'll make it rain money over the beach where we fell in love." He stared at her like she'd completely lost her mind. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious, totally insane. $100 million, a lifetime of financial security. Never worry about money again. All you have to do is marry me." "Celeste, I know it's crazy, I know it's dramatic, I know I'm probably having some kind of breakdown, but I want to know if everyone has a price. I want to know if you're different. I want to know if I can trust that you actually want me and not just—" "Stop," he said. She stopped. He looked at the money, looked at her, looked back at the money. Then he laughed. Not a small laugh. A full from the belly laugh that made him lean back in his seat and wipe his eyes. "What's so funny?" she demanded. "You," he said, still laughing. "You're offering me $100 million to marry you, and you genuinely think that's what I want. You think everyone has a price. Everyone does have a price. Not everyone. Then what do you want?" He leaned forward, his gray eyes serious now. "I want you to put that money away. Land this helicopter. Have coffee with me at that diner with the grumpy waitress. Real coffee, real conversation, no money involved. I want to take you to dinner at a restaurant that isn't Michelin-starred, where we split the check and argue over who pays. I want to watch you bake bread at 2 a.m. without pretending it's normal. I want to know what makes you happy when money isn't involved. I want to know what you dream about, what you're afraid of, what you want from life beyond quarterly earnings and stock prices." He paused, his voice softening. "I just want you, Celeste. The real you. Not your bank account, not your empire, not your net worth. Just you. The girl who cried over injured birds. The woman who fires managers who mistreat her staff. The person who bakes bread at 2 in the morning because it's the only time she lets herself feel real. But no, no, no. I won't marry you for money. That's my answer. It surprises you? The helicopter hovering. The beach below. The duffel bag on her lap full of enough money to change someone's life forever. Yes, she whispered. It surprises me. Everyone I've ever known wanted something from me. Money, status, access. Everyone has a price. I want something from you too, he said. I want your time, your truth, your trust. None of which can be bought with any amount of money. Tears pricked her eyes. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be loved for myself. Be wanted for who I am instead of what I have. Then let me teach you. Let me show you what it's like. She closed the helicopter door, the money still in her lap. This is insane. Probably. You're an idiot for saying no. Probably that too. $100 million, Ryan. Think about what you could do with that money. Not worth it if I lose you in the process. Not worth it if you spend the rest of your life wondering if I married you for the right reasons. She flew them back to the hotel, her mind spinning. She'd been so certain he'd say yes. So certain everyone had a price. So certain that love was just another transaction. But he didn't. He really, truly didn't. When they landed on the roof, she sat in the pilot's seat, hands still on the controls, unable to move. You really said no, she said quietly. I really did. Why? He reached over, gently turned her face toward his. Because I fell in love with a girl who gave away her allowance to homeless people and cried over injured birds and believed in good. She grew into a woman who bakes bread at 2 a.m. and fires managers who mistreat her staff and runs a billion-dollar company while still trying to remember who she was before money complicated everything. That woman is worth more than any amount of money, and if I can't have her without buying her, then I don't deserve her at all. A tear slipped down her cheek. What if I'm broken? What if I can't be who I used to be? What if you're not broken? What if you're just hurt and scared and doing the best you can? What if I can't do this? Can't be what you need? What if we figure it out together? What if we stop trying to be perfect and just try to be real? She laughed through her tears. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. It's just not easy. She looked at the duffel bag of money, then at him, then back at the money. I'm returning this to the bank, she said. Good idea. And then I'm taking you to coffee at that diner. My treat. Even better. And then, she stopped. And then we'll see what happens. That's all I'm asking for. Just a chance to see. They climbed out of the helicopter. Celeste carried the duffel bag. Ryan walked beside her. At the elevator, she paused. For the record, she said, that was really romantic. The whole I want you, not your money speech. He grinned. I have my moments, but also really stupid. That was a lot of money. Like life-changing money. I know. You're absolutely sure you don't want to reconsider? Positive. Idiot. You're idiot if you'll have me. The elevator doors closed and Celeste realized she was smiling. Really smiling. Not the professional CEO smile. The real one. Maybe starting over was possible after all. 2 days later, Celeste called an emergency board meeting. 12 men in suits filed into the conference room, all looking concerned about what she might do next. I'm restructuring, she announced without preamble. Specifically, the way we treat employees at every level of this company. They stared at her like she'd just announced she was selling the company to buy a circus. I want profit sharing for housekeeping staff, better benefits for kitchen workers, mental health support for all employees, not just management, and a mentorship program connecting senior management with entry-level workers. One of the directors, Anderson, started to speak. Ms. Davenport, the cost. I don't care about the cost. We're a $3 billion company. We can afford to treat people like humans instead of line items on a spreadsheet. Your father never. My father died alone and miserable because he cared more about profit margins than people. He died in this building, in his office, working on a Sunday, with no one around who actually gave a damn about him beyond his bank account. I'm not making that mistake. Silence filled the room. 12 men in suits, all of them old enough to be her father, all of them suddenly looking uncomfortable. Any other objections? She asked. No one spoke. Good. I want proposals on my desk by Friday. Make it happen. After the meeting, she found Ryan in the hotel gym, sparring with 3 of the veterans. He moved like water, fluid, controlled, dangerous in a way that made her pulse race. She waited until they finished, until he was wiping sweat from his face with a towel. Can we talk? She asked. Sure. They walked to the beach, shoes off, waves lapping at their feet. The sun was setting, painting everything golden. I did something today, she said. Yeah? I changed how the hotel operates, made it more human, more like what it should have been all along. That's good. I did it because of you. He stopped walking. Celeste. Not in a bad way. In a, you made me remember who I used to be way. Before my father died. Before I got married and divorced. Before I forgot that people matter more than profit. Who were you? Before? Someone who cared. Someone who believed people were worth investing in. Someone who thought making a difference mattered more than making money. She turned to face him. I lost that somewhere along the way, but you're helping me find it again. I think you're finding it yourself. I'm just here. Maybe. But you being here matters. They stood there as the sun disappeared below the horizon, painting the sky purple and orange and pink, colors that hurt to look at. They were so beautiful. I'm scared, she admitted. Of what? That this isn't real. That I'll wake up and you'll be gone again. That I'm setting myself up for the same heartbreak all over again. I'm not going anywhere, Celeste. How do I know that? How do I trust that? You don't. That's what trust is. You take a leap and hope the other person catches you. She looked up at him. I don't know how to trust anymore. Everyone I've ever trusted has hurt me. Then we'll figure that out too, together. He took her hand. just held it. The gesture was simple, but it meant everything. I called my ex-husband yesterday, she said suddenly. Why? To apologize. For what? He's the one who tried to rob you. For marrying him when I was still in love with someone else. It wasn't fair to him. He deserved someone who actually loved him, not someone using him to forget. What did he say? That he knew, that he always knew, that he hoped I found what I was looking for and that he was sorry for how things ended. He's engaged now, apparently, to someone who actually loves him back. And, are you finding what you were looking for? She squeezed his hand. Maybe. Yes, I think so. They walked back to the hotel in comfortable silence. At the entrance, Ryan said, Dinner tomorrow? Yes. My choice of restaurant? Your choice. It won't be fancy. Good. I'm tired of fancy. He kissed her forehead. Brief, gentle, a promise of more to come. Good night, Celeste. Good night, Ryan. She went to her penthouse, stood on her balcony, and realized the emptiness in her chest was almost gone. Not completely, but almost. Progress. Dinner the next night was at a taco truck near the pier. They sat on plastic chairs that cost $3 at a discount store, eating street tacos that cost $2 each, and Celeste couldn't remember the last time food had tasted this good. This is your idea of a fancy date? She teased. Best tacos in the city. I've been coming here since I got back. My Michelin star chef would disagree. Your chef is a snob who charges $50 for 3 bites of foam. She laughed. Actually laughed. Probably true. They talked about everything and nothing. His time in the Navy, the good parts and the hard parts, her college years before her father died and everything changed, the dreams they'd had when they were young and stupid and thought they could conquer the world. I was going to be a novelist, she admitted, had this whole plan, write the great American novel, live in a cabin in the woods, be artistically fulfilled and poor and happy. Really? I never knew that. Yeah, I had 3 chapters written. Then my dad died, and the hotel needed someone, and I stepped up because that's what you do. You step up. Do you regret it? She considered the question while watching the waves crash against the pier. Sometimes, but mostly I just regret not having a choice, not getting to decide for myself what I wanted. It was just, this is your responsibility now, figure it out. You have choices now. Do I? Yeah. You could hire a CEO, step back, write your novel. You're 24. You have your whole life ahead of you. I'm 24 and running a $3 billion company. No one would take me seriously if I stepped back. So what? Let them doubt you. Prove them wrong. You've been doing that your whole life. She looked at him. You make it sound so simple. It's your life, Celeste. Make it what you want. Stop living for other people's expectations. Later, walking on the pier, she said, I kissed someone else to try to forget you. He went still. When? My wedding day. An hour before the ceremony, the wedding planner. We were alone in the dressing room and I just kissed him, just to see if I could feel something real. Jesus, Celeste. I told myself it didn't mean anything, that I was just nervous, that pre-wedding jitters were normal, but I knew. Deep down, I knew I was marrying the wrong person for all the wrong reasons. Why did you go through with it? Because everyone was expecting me to. Because my PR team said it was perfect for the brand. Because I was too much of a coward to disappoint people. Because stopping a wedding an hour before it happened seemed harder than just going through with it. You're not a coward. I was then. Maybe I still am. They stopped at the end of the pier, looking out at the dark ocean. Boats bobbed in the distance, their lights like fallen stars floating on water. I wrote you letters, Ryan said suddenly. What? After I enlisted, I wrote you letters, hundreds of them, but I never sent them. Why not? Because I'd already made the choice to leave. Sending letters felt like cheating. Like I was trying to have it both ways. Leave, but still keep you tied to me. What did they say? He pulled out his phone, scrolled through photos, handed it to her. On the screen, a photo of a letter, his handwriting. Dear Celeste, she read aloud, her voice shaking. I saw the ocean today and it reminded me of your eyes. Not the color. Your eyes are brown and the ocean is blue. But the depth, the way you can look at them forever and never really know what's beneath the surface. I know I have no right to think about your eyes. I gave up that right when I left, but I can't help it. You're everywhere, in every sunrise, every laugh I hear, every moment of peace I find. I left to protect you, but all I did was hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope you're happy. I hope you've forgotten me. I hope... She stopped, throat too tight to continue. There are 847 letters, Ryan said quietly. I numbered them. Read them sometimes when I need to remember why I left. To remind myself I did it for good reasons, even if they were stupid reasons. You shouldn't have left. I know. You should have told me the truth, let me decide. I know that too. She handed back his phone. Read me another one. They sat on a bench, his phone between them, and he read letter after letter. Some were long, rambling pages about his day and what he was thinking. Some were short, just a few sentences about missing her. All of them broke her heart in the best possible way. When he finished reading the 10th one, she said, I would have waited. I know. I would have helped, would have worked, would have done whatever it took. I know. 8 years, Ryan. We could have had 8 years together. I know, and I can't fix that, can't take it back, can't make it right. All I can do is try to not waste whatever time we have now. She leaned against him, his arm around her shoulders, and they sat there until the pier closed at midnight, and security asked them to leave. The weeks blurred together after that. The veteran program was wrapping up with most of the participants successfully transitioned to full-time positions. Ryan's contract was almost finished, but he wasn't leaving. He had his new job. He was staying in LA. They had time. For the first time in years, Celeste felt hopeful. Then her ex-husband called. Celeste, I need to tell you something. She was in her office reviewing quarterly reports that showed the hotel was doing better than ever. Marcus? What's wrong? It's about Ryan. Her blood went cold. What about him? I hired an investigator when you two started seeing each other again. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure he wasn't like me, that he wasn't going to hurt you. Get to the point. He has a daughter. The world stopped spinning. What? A daughter? Her name is Emma. She's 7 years old. Her mother is someone he was stationed with in Japan, Lieutenant Sarah Chen. Celeste sat down slowly, carefully like she might break. You're lying. I'm not. I'm really not. I can send you the report. Send it. Now. She hung up. The email arrived 30 seconds later. She opened the attachment with shaking hands. Photos, documents, birth certificate, Emma Walker, born 7 years ago in Yokosuka, Japan. Mother, Lieutenant Sarah Chen. Father, Captain Ryan Walker, 7 years ago, which meant Ryan had a child he'd never mentioned, a child he'd been hiding for months while they rebuilt whatever this was between them. She called him. He answered on the first ring. Hey, he said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. I was just thinking about you. Do you have a daughter? Silence. Long, horrible silence. Ryan, answer me. Do you have a daughter? Yes. The word felt like a knife sliding between her ribs. 7 years old? Yes. Named Emma? Yes. She hung up, turned off her phone, sat in her office as the sun set and the city lit up below her like a constellation of lies. He'd lied. Not directly, but by omission. For months, he'd let her fall for him again, let her trust him again, and he'd never mentioned that he had a child. Her phone stayed off for 3 days. On the 4th day, there was a knock on her penthouse door at 7 in the morning. She opened it. Ryan stood there looking like he hadn't slept. Exhausted. Desperate. Broken. Please let me explain. Explain what? That you have a 7-year-old daughter you never mentioned? I didn't know how to tell you. How about Celeste? I have a daughter. That's a pretty good start. I was scared you'd think I was lying about everything else. That everything between us was fake. Weren't you? No. Everything I told you is true. Emma's mother and I had a brief relationship 6 years ago when we were stationed together. We're not together now. We haven't been for years, we co-parent. I see Emma every other weekend and Wednesday nights. And you didn't think I should know this? I was going to tell you. I just needed time. Time for what? Time to string me along until you decided I was worth the truth? Time to make sure you loved me enough to not run when things got complicated? She laughed, bitter, sharp, like broken glass. So you tested me? You decided to test whether I could handle your life before letting me into it? No, I just... Get out. Celeste, please. Get out of my house. Out of my hotel. Out of my life. I'm done. I'm done being lied to by men who think they know what's best for me. I wasn't lying. You lied by omission, which is the same thing. You let me fall for you again while hiding a massive part of your life. That's not protection, Ryan. That's manipulation. Please, just let me explain. Now. Get out now, or I'm calling security. He left. The door closed behind him with a quiet click that sounded like the end of the world. She stood in her empty penthouse, surrounded by 12,000 square feet of nothing, and realized she'd been right all along. Love was just another lie people told to get what they wanted. Celeste threw herself into work with a vengeance. 16-hour days. Back-to-back meetings. Conference calls at midnight. Anything to avoid thinking about Ryan Walker and his secret daughter and the fact that she'd been stupid enough to believe in second chances. The veteran program officially ended on schedule. All 15 participants were now full-time employees with benefits and opportunities for advancement. Success story. PR gold. The board was thrilled. She felt nothing. On a Friday afternoon, her assistant buzzed her office. "Ms. Davenport, there's a girl here to see you." "I don't have any appointments." "I know, but she says her name is Emma. Emma Walker. She says it's important." Celeste's heart stopped. Literally stopped beating for 3 full seconds. "Send her up." The elevator doors opened 90 seconds later. A 7-year-old girl stepped out. Dark hair and pigtails, wearing jeans and a t-shirt with a cartoon character Celeste didn't recognize. Gray eyes. Ryan's eyes. "Hi," Emma said, not shy at all. "You're Celeste, right?" "I am." "And you're Emma." "Yeah. My dad talks about you a lot." Celeste's throat tightened. "Does he?" "All the time. He says you're the bravest person he knows. And the saddest. He says you're hurting, and it's his fault, and he doesn't know how to fix it." "Emma, does your dad know you're here?" "No. I took a cab. Cost me all my allowance." "Don't tell him. He'll totally freak out." "You took a cab? You're 7 years old." "I'm almost 8, and I had to talk to you, woman to woman." Celeste knelt down to Emma's level. "About what?" "About why my dad didn't tell you about me." "Emma, that's between—" "It's not because he was lying, it's because of my mom." "Your mom?" Emma's face grew serious, far too serious for a 7-year-old. "She died 2 years ago. Car accident. Dad got full custody, but he feels guilty about it." The floor tilted. The room spun. "Emma," Celeste said carefully, "your mom is dead?" "Yeah, Lieutenant Sarah Chen. She was awesome, super cool. Dad has pictures everywhere at home. He says it's important I remember her." "And your dad has been raising you alone for 2 years?" "Yeah. Well, my grandma helps sometimes, but mostly it's just us. We have pizza Fridays and movie nights, and he's teaching me guitar even though I kind of suck at it." Celeste stood slowly, her mind racing. Ryan had a daughter whose mother had died. A daughter he'd been raising alone while working full-time while trying to build a new life, while falling in love with his ex-girlfriend who'd thrown him out without letting him explain. "Emma, I need to call your dad right now. He's probably terrified. He's downstairs in the parking lot. I told him I was just going to the bathroom at the Starbucks, but then I came up here instead." Of course he was. Celeste took Emma's hand. "Let's go find him together." They rode the elevator down. Emma chattered the whole way about school and her friends and how Dad was teaching her to play guitar and how she wanted to be a pilot when she grew up, because flying seemed really cool. Every word broke Celeste's heart a little more. Ryan was pacing in the lobby when they stepped out. His face cycled through terror to relief to confusion in 3 seconds. "Emma, I told you to stay in the car." "I had to talk to Celeste, Dad. Woman to woman. It was important. Despite everything, the hurt, the anger, the betrayal." Celeste almost smiled. "Emma, go wait in the car," Ryan said, his voice shaking. "Please." Emma looked between them. "Don't be mad at him, okay? He was just scared. Grown-ups are stupid when they're scared. That's what Grandma says, and she's usually right about stuff." She skipped toward the parking lot, pigtails bouncing. Ryan and Celeste stood in the lobby, afternoon sun streaming through the windows, people walking past them like they weren't in the middle of something that felt like it might break them both. "I didn't know she was going to do that," Ryan said. "I swear to God, Celeste, I had no idea. She told me about Sarah." He flinched like she'd hit him. "I should have told you. I know I should have told you." "Yes, you should have. I tried 100 times, but every time I started I couldn't find the words. How do I explain that I have a daughter with a woman I wasn't in love with, that her mother died and I feel guilty every single day because Emma deserved better than a part-time dad who got full custody by default? You tell me the truth, Ryan. That's how. You trust me enough to let me decide how I feel about it. I was scared you'd think I was a mess, that my life was too complicated, that I wasn't worth the trouble. Your life is complicated, but so is mine. That's what being human means. We're all complicated and messy and trying our best." He ran a hand through his hair. "I wanted to be perfect for you, wanted to prove I'd changed, that I was worth a second chance, but instead I screwed it up again, just like I did 8 years ago." Celeste looked at him, really looked at him, the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight on his shoulders, the man trying so hard to be everything for everyone that he'd forgotten how to just be honest. Emma said her mom was Lieutenant Sarah Chen. Yeah, we served together in Japan. Became friends first, then more than friends for about 6 months. She got pregnant. We tried to make it work as a couple, but we were better as friends and co-parents. She was an amazing mom. Best person I've ever known. His voice cracked. And when she died in that car accident, Emma was 5 years old. She asked me why I couldn't save her mommy. She asked why her daddy, who was supposed to be a hero, couldn't save the person who mattered most. And I didn't have an answer for her, because there is no answer for that. Ryan, I carry that every day. The guilt. The feeling that I failed Sarah and Emma both. That I should have been there. Should have prevented it somehow. And then you came back into my life, and for the first time in years I felt like maybe I deserved something good. So I didn't tell you about Emma because I was terrified you'd see me as broken. As not enough. As the guy who couldn't even keep his daughter's mother safe. Celeste stepped forward. You're raising a 7-year-old alone. You're helping veterans transition to civilian life. You turned down $100 million because you have principles. You wrote me 847 letters you never sent. You're not broken, Ryan. You're human, and that's more than enough. I lied to you by not telling you. You omitted important information. It's different. Is it? Yes. Because you were scared, not malicious. I understand scared. I've been scared my entire adult life. They stood there in the lobby, years of hurt and hope and second chances hanging between them. I don't know how to do this, Ryan said quietly. Be a good dad. Be in a relationship. Be anything other than terrified I'm going to screw it all up and hurt the people I love most. Then we figure it out together. You'd want that? After everything? After I kept something this huge from you? I don't know. Maybe. Ask me again in 6 months when I've had therapy and processed my trust issues and figured out how to be a person who can actually trust someone. He almost smiled. That's fair. That's more than fair. But for now, right now, take me to meet your daughter properly. Not in a lobby ambush orchestrated by a 7-year-old. She'd like that. She's been asking to meet you for weeks. She has? Yeah, she says she needs to make sure you're good enough for her dad. Celeste actually laughed. She's terrifying, and I respect that immensely. They drove to an ice cream shop near the pier. Emma got chocolate and vanilla. I can never decide, so I get both. Ryan got coffee. Celeste got mint chip. They sat on a bench overlooking the ocean, Emma between them, chattering about everything and nothing. Do you love my dad? Emma asked suddenly, completely out of nowhere. Celeste choked on her ice cream. Emma, what? It's a valid question. I need to know your intentions. Ryan looked mortified. Emma, you can't just ask people. I don't know yet, Celeste interrupted. Deciding honesty was the best policy with this particular 7-year-old. But I'm trying to figure it out. Emma considered this very seriously. That's honest. I like that. Grandma says honesty is the most important thing. Your grandma sounds smart. She is. She makes the best cookies. You should meet her. I'd like that. You're prettier than I thought you'd be. Emma, Ryan groaned. What? Dad said you were beautiful, but dads always exaggerate about stuff. He said the fish he caught was this big. She spread her arms wide. But it was actually like this big. She held her hands a foot apart. Celeste laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in weeks, the tightness in her chest eased. After ice cream, Ryan drove them back to the hotel. Emma fell asleep in the back seat, her head against the window. She likes you, Ryan said quietly. How can you tell? She doesn't fall asleep around people she doesn't trust. It's a thing. Her therapist says it's because of Sarah. She was asleep in the car when the accident happened. So now she only sleeps around people where she feels completely safe. She has a therapist? Yeah, for the last 2 years. She's doing really well, most days. I'm glad. She's amazing, Celeste. She's funny and smart and resilient in ways I don't understand. She teaches me more than I teach her. I'm sorry I didn't let you explain before. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I'm sorry I made you feel like I was hiding her because I was ashamed or because she wasn't important. She's the most important thing in my life. They sat in comfortable silence, Emma's soft breathing filling the truck. I need time, Celeste said finally, to process all of this, to figure out what I want and whether I can handle your life being this complicated. I understand. But I'm not running. I'm not disappearing. I'm just pausing, taking a breath. That's more than I deserve. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. She got out of the truck, then leaned back in through the window. Call me next week. We'll have coffee. Just coffee? Just coffee. And maybe Emma can come. His face softened in a way that made her heart ache. She'd love that. She's already planning what questions to ask you. I'm scared of what those questions might be. You should be. She's relentless. She smiled. Good night, Ryan. Good night, Emma. Good night, Celeste. She watched them drive away, Emma's small head visible in the back seat, Ryan's profile strong and steady behind the wheel. For the first time in years, Celeste felt something dangerous and terrifying and wonderful. Hope. 3 months later, Celeste stood in the hotel kitchen at 2 a.m. kneading bread. But this time she wasn't alone. Emma sat on the counter covered in flour from head to toe, laughing like this was the best adventure ever. Ryan leaned against the sink, watching them with soft eyes and a smile that looked like home. You're doing it wrong, Emma announced with the confidence of someone who'd been baking for exactly 3 weeks. Oh, really? Celeste said. And you're an expert now? Grandma taught me. You have to push harder. Like this. She demonstrated with exaggerated force, sending flour everywhere. Show me then. Emma jumped down from the counter, her small hands covering Celeste's, guiding the motion with surprising precision. See? Like this. You gotta show the dough who's boss. You're a better teacher than your dad. I know, Dad's terrible at baking. He burned cookies last week. Ryan laughed. In my defense, I got distracted. By what? Celeste asked. By thinking about you. She threw a pinch of flour at him. He caught it and threw it back. Emma squealed with delight and dumped an entire cup of flour over both their heads. They baked until dawn, the 3 of them covered in flour and sugar and something that felt suspiciously like joy, something that felt like family. When the bread came out of the oven golden and perfect and smelling like heaven, Emma clapped. We did it. We're the best bakers in the world. We sure did, Celeste agreed, pulling the bread out carefully. Ryan came up behind Celeste, his arms around her waist, his chin on her shoulder. He smelled like flour and coffee and home. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For giving us a chance. For being patient with me. For being you. She leaned back into him, let herself be held. Thank you for coming back, for staying. For being stubborn enough to not give up on me. Always. Emma looked up at them, flour in her hair and joy on her face. Are you guys going to kiss? Because if you are, I'm going to eat all this bread while you're distracted. They laughed, and Celeste realized something fundamental had shifted in her life. She wasn't alone anymore. She had Ryan, with all his complications and baggage and beautiful daughter. She had Emma, who asked impossible questions and made her laugh and called her out on her bullshit, with the honesty only children possess. She had something that looked suspiciously like a family, and maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what she'd needed all along. 6 months after that, Celeste stood on the hotel roof, Ryan beside her. Emma was with her grandmother for the weekend, giving them time alone. Ready? He asked. I think so. No. Maybe. Ask me again. They'd spent the morning with lawyers signing papers. The veteran program was now permanent, fully funded by Celeste's personal foundation. Ryan ran it full-time, with a salary that made him comfortable and enough flexibility to be there for Emma when she needed him. But that wasn't what made her nervous. You sure about this? Ryan asked for the 10th time. Are you? I asked you first. She turned to face him. The sun was setting, painting the ocean gold. I'm terrified. I'm also sure. Both things can be true at the same time. He pulled out a small box from his pocket, opened it slowly. Inside, a simple gold band. No diamonds, no flash, no pretense. Just commitment. Celeste Davenport, he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. I'm not asking for $100 million. I'm not asking for your hotel or your money or your empire. I'm asking for you, your time, your truth, your heart, your mornings and your midnights and everything in between. Will you marry me? She looked at the ring, at him, at the ocean stretching endlessly below them, eternal and changing all at once. Yes, she said, but on one condition. What? Emma gets to be the flower girl, and she gets to help plan the wedding. Because if I'm marrying you, I'm marrying your daughter too, and she deserves a say in this. He laughed, pulled her close. Deal. She's been planning it for 3 months anyway. She has a Pinterest board. She's 7 and has a Pinterest board. She's 8 now, as she'll tell you approximately 50 times a day. And yes, it's terrifying. They kissed on the roof where she'd once tried to buy his love, where she'd learned that the best things in life couldn't be bought with any amount of money. They had to be earned. They had to be built. They had to be chosen. Every single day. And Celeste had finally found something. Someone worth choosing.